Hi, this is the group debate on the EHR systems and moving from one EHR system to a better one. We have two sides. We have for change and against change, and I will be the facilitator for this debate. So let's go meet our people. So here we have for change.
Change! Yeah, go change.
Nice.
Change is good.
And then we have our team representing resistance.
No change. None.
Alrighty. So we will get started with the debate. Team for change, why don't you kick things off for us?
All right.
Sure, Liz.
So we're going to talk about our most important topic first. Increase patient safety and security. So we'll be able to find information about our patient's history faster and their known life-threatening conditions. Healthcare providers will access their patient's information and do not need to rely on the patient's subjective data.
Yes, along with that, there are some issues where sometimes patients may not understand the question and give the wrong information, or there could be a language barrier involved. So with that, we can eliminate some of those issues. With expansions as well, there's also a team of regional extension centers that will provide support for healthcare professionals to quickly adapt and to be really familiar and meaningful with the new EHR.
Very nice. Team resistance, do you have a point to make?
Yeah, we've got a point here. So patients may be concerned about the privacy of their medical information being available to many healthcare providers at a time. All computer systems are prone to attacks by hackers, and EHR systems are not immune. Patient healthcare information is one of the most targeted areas of data. So healthcare providers need to integrate an advanced data security strategy for their EHR systems. An increasing amount of health information is exchanged electronically.
And an example of the medical privacy for patients that they may not like is, for example, when a provider's out for an extended period of time due to a family emergency or something, their inboxes, so where patient messages are coming through, they're being supervised by other providers and nurses, so more people are prone to seeing their information.
Good point. Good point.
Yeah, but if people aren't able to access those inboxes and those notes, how are those patients getting taken care of?
That's a good point, Julie.
Usually providers appoint another physician to monitor over their patients, so they have to be able to access those records.
With this point though too, we were more thinking about like if hospitals and clinics and all facilities have access to all information, then that can be abused. And patients' medical information can be looked at and shared when it shouldn't be, so.
I see your point, yeah.
On the big scale, but it could also be abused on the small scale.
But accessing records are also monitored, so if you're
Audits.
accessing, yeah, they do computer audits, so they'll be able to monitor people accessing records. And if you're in a record that you don't need to be, or like a big one is celebrities, like if you enter into their record and have no reason, they can see that.
That's a good point.
Any increase in communication would have the added concern of many people having access to information that they shouldn't really have access to, which brings up the point of increased communication of plan of care. So overall, having multiple or having an EHR that can be accessed from different outpatient clinics and hospitals is great for plan of care because it decreases the fragmentation of care, improving care coordination between multiple specialties and care settings. Having this communication will allow each person to have the same accurate and up-to-date information about the patient. EHR can also be used to alert the patient's primary provider when the patient goes to the hospital or has any medical changes or alerts, allowing the primary provider to follow up. One particular situation that we were thinking about is if someone were to come into the emergency department and they weren't able to respond to your questions or answer anything, if you were able to access their chart from like an outpatient facility, you could see maybe they're a type 1 diabetic and know right away how to deal with the situation, so.
Right, so with that, providers and nurses take more time while charting, which decreases the time that they're with their patients. They take the time to figure out where things are, because when EHR platforms update, some things move around and charting can change. The growth of copying and pasting text from various locations in the health record, either from the same encounter or previous encounters, is a significant problem in EHRs.
Trustworthiness and integrity of the health record are damaged and the patient harm is a possibility. Some examples are charting the wrong patient's chart, internally inconsistent progress notes and unnecessarily lengthy notes, propagation of false information. So with the growth of copying and pasting text, it leads to errors. There were some examples that we found that someone copied and pasted the same note for several days in a row, which nearly resulted in the patient's antibiotic regimen unnecessarily being changed because the note had not been updated to reflect the fact that the patient's abscess has been drained. And another example is someone copied and pasted text which led to a failure to administer heparin to prevent venous thromboembolism, which resulted in the patient being readmitted for a pulmonary embolism.
I think both of those points are very valid, yeah, especially with the one about the nurses taking a lot of time to chart.
Sure.
We should definitely do something about that.
And that's why we'll have regional expansion centers.
Yeah, and I
So-
think that will help with any kind of issues with the changes of charting. Like you said, if there's an update, you know, they'll need to learn really quickly on where new things are and what to do. So we can hopefully, have some IT help with that.
And I think we just need to inform our nurses and providers about the diligence of doing their assessments and documenting their own notes and the importance of it. And just holding those people accountable for their actions.
These are all very great points that you guys are making so far. Brio or Jess, do one of you guys want to bring up another point?
Yeah, I'm next. So I was waiting my turn. That was good, Liz.
Just making sure everyone's talking.
Increasing productivity and efficiency. So spending less time looking for patient information or unnecessary charting, and having more time to care for your patients. So quick access to patient records from inpatient and remote locations for more coordinated, efficient care. Eliminating duplicate tests because of ease of access to previous tests at other locations. Cutting down on repetitive tasks that physicians perform or even nurses, which is saving time and repetition on data entry, cost saving, efficient workflows.
Yeah, that's a really good point. However, we have to make sure that our nurses and providers are wanting to actually have this EHR implemented. So many nurses and providers may experience strong emotional responses as they struggle to adapt to the new technology, and this could disrupt the workflow. And so they might not have those tests done because they're still struggling with the technology. Also the time, most of the time workarounds that can lead to confusion, mistakes, and risk of HIPAA compliances, which includes sharing patient records with another physician who does not have access to the same EMR system, or entering less commonly used medications or therapies. So just again, having to find those things in the new EHR. And then also if the EHR is not customized for the setting that it's in, so the EHR might work great in the hospital setting, but if it's the same as a clinical setting, that might not be best for the clinic and their nurses and physicians and patients there.
And then just going off of what Hopper said, during the transfer of patients from a different EHR to another, patient information can be lost during the process, which can cause an error of medication, or the possibility of the patient receiving inaccurate or incomplete information. It can also cause delayed information or jeopardize the integrity of the information, leading to errors that endanger patient safety or decrease the quality of care.
That was a good point, but going off of you saying that was gonna increase medical errors, you said that it was gonna reduce them, because there would be less phone prescriptions and no need for readback or faxing or anything like that. And with the interchangeable charts, there would be full and complete documentation, and it would make for safer and more reliable prescribing. reduce drug-to-drug interaction rates. And this system would provide real-time alerting and warnings to clinicians and pharmacists, which ultimately would improve treatment outcomes and patient care.
We all made a good point, but is this actually possible because it's kind of expensive? Implementation can be expensive as well as the usage, purchasing and installing the hardware or software as well. Most find that the fund invest in training, support, and physical facility itself. EHR system can cost up to $30,000 per year, providing a feature such as a patient portal or medical billing partner after extra ongoing maintenance costs and paying employees to go new HR training outside of their normal work hours. That could be very expensive with the economy we're at right now. So.
And then just going off of what Howie said, when implementing an EHR system, we must prepare for the cost and time. So like training, which consists of time, effort, and resources, it's important to choose the right functionality to estimate the scope of the budget and how long it will take to implement the system. There's something else to consider when planning timeframes for project designs and implementations. You'll need time for your staff training to teach them how to use the EHR functionally.
These are all very great points that you guys are all making. Does anyone on either side have something else they would like to say?
I also would like to share something. So one other positive for advancing to the new EHR is patient satisfaction. People do not like that we don't have access to their information. They think because we're one system, we should all have that information. And so having to repeat and re-ask the same questions that they previously answered at another place can be very irritating to them. So being able to access those records would be helpful for those patients. It can help decrease costs as well. Patients wouldn't have to go to each clinic and refill out the same forms over and over again. And that too would also save cost in paper and pens. These portals also the patient can access and allow patients to communicate securely with their medical personnel, which can help them engage more with their own care so they can still access one whole system within one care everywhere instead of having to access different parts to reach out to certain providers. So it's only giving them one portal, which would make them happier in the long run.
User friendly.
Happier and better for their plan of care.
Yeah, patients like to know what's up with them, so being able to access that.
It's better for patients to feel involved in their care as well.
So does mean not only we're training the physician and the nurses, only we have to train the patient as well, which can cost more money.
I don't know if train is the right word. I think we can educate them and inform them on how to use it. I think also we have to just assume that if they're coming in and they're, wishing for these, or at least expressing these frustrations or wishing that there was just one portal, then they are gonna be willing to use it. And then that's also just like,
Well, yeah, they
kind of
won't.
sign of the times, like if you're, we're in the times of technology, so hopefully patients will be able to use it. We can refer them to other resources if they can't. We can educate them and inform them on, what the patient portal is, and we can give them pamphlets. But I don't think we necessarily have to train them, and I don't think that would cost any extra money to implement that. Well, it might
I mean, they're already using them. It's now
right,
just one instead of 5 different ones.
And usually patient portals are a lot simpler than our interfaces that we deal with.
And also with that, most of the time you can update the software, but you need updated version of either a computer or like a cell phone, which is that means does everybody has access to that type of cell phone, or are they able to update the software? Are they the system is updating? So what do you say about that?
I
I think you can just access it through the internet. I don't think you need anything updated in order to
Software,
access patient portal. You can even go to the library and use the library computers to access your information.
And that makes people worry about hackers too on public computers.
Hackers are always a concern.
We can worry about hackers
Yeah.
hacking into our big systems too, you know, that is definitely a risk, but we have security measures and, firewalls and, you know, doing all these things.
And that's why we try to keep the system up to date as possible, trying to prevent that, but in the long run, you know, it helps with patient care and having access to their.
Wouldn't it just be best to just update it then? Like, why do we need a whole new one?
Well, because right now our system doesn't talk between hospitals and clinics, and so if we can merge together, we'll be able to access records between each other and save time on ordering repeat tests, calling out to get records, faxing them, which is a risk for a HIPAA violation.
We'll know more.
All the information.
Yeah.
I went to the ER and I had to do all the information, my insurance card, and it's like it was an emergency employee information. And I had to give them all this information.
The real world experience.
Yeah, I think it might be, you know, intimidating, or it can be, annoying to have to do a big update like that, but I think once it's done and it's one update that could hopefully it doesn't last more than a day, you know, for everything to get adjusted, but then from there, I think we could see a lot of ease in just charting.
In the long run, I think it's better. Other hospital systems are doing it, and it's actually like almost living in the dark ages when your EHR doesn't talk to your outpatient facilities, because everyone has that now. So you got to be competitive in this market.
Yeah, for real.
Well, this has been a fantastic debate. Did everyone say what they wanted to say? Does anyone else have any final remarks or anything that they need to mention?
I don't think so.
No, good. Thank you, Liz.
Yeah, thank you.
That, we have to vote first.
Oh,
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay, so now after hearing this amazing debate, what do you guys say? Are you guys more for or against a whole new like EHR system?
Are we raising our hands?
Yes.
Or?
Sure.
For four.
We'll raise hands. So for 4, raise your hands.
For 4.
Are the hackers concerning you? We hire hackers to.
There we go. Okay. Again, if you're against, raise your hands.
I'm still against.
Honey.
Did you vote, Howie?
oh, yeah.
What are you voting for?
I'm in between.
Oh, so you didn't vote.
She still needs to be persuaded.
Yeah.
Alrighty, so it looks like a 4 new EHR system is the winner after this debate. Does anyone else?
Yay change.
Yay, change.
Yeah.
Does anyone want to say anything or?
I think we need to talk about next steps about implementing
Okay.
going forward.
Yeah, what is the plan? How is that gonna look like? I mean, are we gonna have our staff needing to take off time to do more training?
So we won't have them
System.
take off time. We will work into giving the training within their hours, so they don't have to take time out of their personal time to learn.
They
We'll
will
get
have
paid
to
for
do
it.
additional training, but
It will be paid and it will be within their work hours.
And there will be lunch provided.
And they'll get paid.
Oh, lunch is provided.
Just to increase morale and implementation.
And upgrades and installments will be done overnight so that most places will not be affected. Hospitals will be a little bit as they're open 24 hours, but
One thing that we suggested too, or thought of, is that if we, rather than doing like a whole new update overnight, is like slowly updating it so our staff can adapt to one piece at a time, if
That's a good
possible.
That's a good
So-
idea.
I think we should hire hackers to create our firewalls, because they're actually the best ones to create defenses. Because they know how to,
And we're gonna install what's called a playground so that they can go in and practice on it and get familiar with it. So on their downtime, they can play in there and click around and get familiar with the system as well.
yeah, put some stuff on my learning.
And we will give them the number for our regional,
Expansion Center.
thank you.
Yeah.
Our regional expansion center, and that will be open 24/7 to provide any information or additional help or support.
Yeah.
We'll also have people on hand for the first few weeks, walking around, kind of helping with any questions they may have, teaching them and educating them on.
What do we think is the best way to get people on the side of EHR if they weren't? So maybe some of the older nurses who don't, or who resist change, or do we have any ideas for that?
I mean, I feel like they wouldn't really like have an option fully because it would just be transferred, but
Maybe
we can
offer
provide them
retirement
support.
benefits?
Retirement
Early
benefits,
retirement?
but also we can provide them some emotional
Right.
support
Yeah.
as they navigate through
Maybe
this
there's
difficult time.
Some anxiety associated with things that they don't understand.
I have one question. So you guys said during the work hours, so would that take patient care, like the nurses who actually have to work, if you take nurses to train them, what about the patients?
Yeah, we'll have to work with their schedules and.
And it hopefully will be supplemental training rather than you have to leave to go train somewhere. It could be like an online thing while you're at work and you can work on it as you have time.
Sounds good. Thank you
I
guys.
understand
Feeling
this
good
can
about
be
that.
scary.
Yeah.
We'll guide you through it.
Thank you, Liz.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So thank you guys for a fantastic debate. Great. Say goodbye, everyone.
Goodbye.
Goodbye.